Hello, how you doing? My name is Daniel Duwa. Welcome to Kenyan Stories. It's been a while. I understand that I took some time out to reflect, go back through the archives and just see what's up there and also work on new production. I'd like to apologize because there's rain in the background. It's raining in the city and I don't know what I feel about that because it's been really hot. There's very little I can do about that. But hopefully this is going to be clear. It hasn't been as cold as I like, but yeah. And let me introduce you to my guest right now. Hello. How you doing? My name is Daniel Duwa. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Kenyan Stories. My guest today is a couple whose love is unfolding as they're embarking on a 4-year world tour. Karl is American, while Medina is Canadian, both of Pakistani origin. So that love story is gonna have a lot of drama, as you will hear in the podcast. I catch them on their Kenyan leg of their world tour, and it's a very, very interesting conversation, if I say so myself. Also, go on their social and follow them and show them some love on Can Quest. My name is Daniel Duwa. This is Kenyan Stories. Welcome to it.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Nice to see you both.
You too.
Let's start with what's something nice that happened to you today?
Today was very mundane. We just edited a few videos, woke up,
just
cleaned
relaxed.
a little.
Yeah, just relaxed, Nothing too crazy today. We just had a kind of low day. Stayed home, edited some videos and stuff.
Okay, cool. So where are you before we continue?
We're in Mombasa, Neali.
Okay. Wow, that's an amazing place to be.
You're right in front of the beach. So that's our view. Amazing.
Beautiful Airbnb that we were lucky to actually acquire.
Now I'm feeling totally jealous, to be honest. I could use a holiday. It's been long time coming. In fact, I was talking to my friend yesterday, and she's filming this thing, and the whole time I was like, I just want to be on a plane to anywhere. Just and then we went into this long conversation about the best airlines. What are the best airlines for you so far?
Planes?
Yeah.
We can tell you the first plane we flew.
It was a horrible experience. I mean,
I don't know if you should say it.
We can go ahead and what was it?
Someone
they
released themselves in the washroom, but everywhere else as well.
Like all over the aisle. So that was like our first flight that we left from Canada.
There was throw up everywhere and it smelled really bad. Good thing we had our masks on. And there was this girl with socks on. She kept just going in and out the aisle and walking on throw up.
I mean, hopefully in the future, our experience would be a lot better with airlines, but we really haven't had any really good ones.
Positive ones.
Really?
Yeah.
Like none?
Yeah. None. I mean, we've flown like maybe on 3 different airlines. I would say maybe from Istanbul to Cappadocia.
I think my very first airline was the thing couldn't go up, and we just got stuck, and we landed back, and they were told we almost crashed. And I was like, okay, this is a great inspiration to getting started. So yeah, there was that anyway. So probably let's start with an introduction. These are the cans, right?
Yeah. So we both are cons. This is my wife, beautiful wife, Medina. My name's Kyle. We got married, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. We started this journey 4 months ago. We just decided we wanted to pack our lives, quit our careers, get a one-way ticket to somewhere and just start seeing the world.
Yeah.
And kind of like opening our perspective, viewing different cultures. And that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people would say that takes a lot of courage. I would say that takes a lot of guts.
I cried every time we would go to a different location. I would be crying because I'm a homebody. I love just to stay at home, not do much. So this is definitely a challenge for me. And he had to just handle my dramatic breakdowns.
I'm just like, babe, it's okay. We're going to another beautiful place. It's fine. But
wow. So where did you come from initially that you had to run from?
I'm Canadian, he's American, but when he met me, he decided to stay in Canada. So technically he's honorably Canadian, you know?
I'm American.
He's American, but he lived in Canada.
I lived in Canada for around 2 years.
It was, long story short, it was too cold.
Yeah, it's just too cold for us. With COVID and everything just shutting down, us and our lifestyles and everyone else in our families, their lifestyles were just on lockdown. You know, you couldn't leave your house, you couldn't go anywhere. Even grocery shopping was a lot of drama, a lot of craziness with the governments. And so we just decided that instead of just not doing anything with our lives and just staying home, let's be productive and do what we have always dreamed of doing. So we just decided one day to just pack everything up and just go for it.
One-way ticket, like on a whim.
Yeah,
we're just gonna do it, and we booked it for Thailand, but the borders got closed. That was our first place that we wanted to go. We still haven't been, but that's on our bucket list.
Yeah, so we had to like redo all of our tickets and everything, and then do all those analytics, and kind of like we decided last minute that okay, Turkey's open, so we ended up in Turkey as our first location.
Istanbul.
Wow. So initially, had you traveled before? Was this a lifestyle that you're used to, or you just like COVID, cold weather, minus 20 degrees, we're just leaving and we're going to figure it out as we go?
Well, at least for me, I come from a really strict Brown family. And as a female, I can't go on no vacations until after I'm married. So I have to stay with my parents. It's a very cultural thing. I got to go to Cuba for a week as a graduation gift to myself with my friends. And that's the only vacation I remember having. But growing up, my dad did like to travel. So when I was a baby, we lived in Korea for a little bit, and then we lived in Thailand. But I feel like traveling wise, he has a better passport stamps than me.
I mean, before everything else, like I was in the U.S. Army for roughly around 7 to 8 years. And through the military, like I've deployed to different countries and experienced like life in different areas. And I was culturally aware of different locations. And I kind of got addicted to traveling through the military. And once I ended up leaving the military, it was just always like in the back of my mind. I'm like, I'm going to do it again. And just life just kept on happening, and it never happened for us. And then finally I met her, and we just decided that one day, you know,
why not? No kids.
Just go for it.
We're young. I mean, we're young-ish now, but before we get older, we decided to just like see the world before we want to settle down, have a family.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you leave Canada. Oh, it's loud.
Well, I hear it.
Yeah, we hear the thunders in the background.
Yeah, it's really weird for Nairobi. I mean, we never hear thunderstorm and stuff. Yeah, so you left Canada for Turkey, and when you get to Turkey, what happens then?
Hectic. It was
hectic.
The roads were crammed. People were just like driving like maniacs. It was a culture shock for sure, but the weather just kind of made it worth it, because it was nice and
the
cool.
weather made it worth it for us, and the people made it worth it for us.
One thing I loved about Turkey generally, their love for animals. So you'll see dogs and cats, and they're all stray animals, and they're just like, they can come to a restaurant, they can just chill there, and everyone's just so friendly to the animals. And that was a new thing, even for us to see that. It was completely new for us. I love that. So that was something very different.
Well, now I think we skip a big step. How did you guys meet, first of all? Because you look amazing together.
You want to tell the story?
Yeah, I can tell this. So when I was in Canada, my family was kind of my family wanted to like find me a female. So our background is, I'm half white. My dad is from Pakistan, and my mom is like from California, and she's fully Pakistani. But our families have migrated to United States and Canada like over like two probably
decades
ago. Yeah. And so my family, like culturally, you know, families kind of like look for the wife or the husband, and they're very involved with every single step of the way. And my family was just like, you're getting old, you're getting
we
old.
We gotta find you a good girl, because he was getting out of hand, from what I hear.
So I took it upon myself because I didn't wanna get arranged married. So I took it upon myself and I got on to these different dating apps and stuff.
One more important thing about us, we both are Muslims.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to be like, you know, the best.
Good Muslims.
We're not that religious, but, you know, enough.
Yep.
And that's a big aspect as well, because we needed to find someone that had like the good to bad ratio.
Yeah.
Like, do you drink? Do you smoke? How many times do you pray? Things of that sort.
Yeah, because I mean that can become very important in a relationship, especially in a marriage. So so I found this female that I was originally interested in.
Not me.
And yeah, not her. And then we started chatting on our first date, and then we realized that we weren't compatible. And we ended up becoming friends, and she ended up introducing me to like different females and stuff. And through her Instagram, I saw this one female.
Still not me.
It's still not her. And I was like, she's gorgeous. Like, that's the one. Like, I'm gonna marry that girl one day. And she was like, you can't marry her. That's my sister-in-law. Her sister.
That's my older sister.
So looking at her older sister, I was like, okay. I'm like, well, if the sister is good, does she have any other sisters? Like, you know, if one's good looking, I'm pretty sure the other one's gonna be gorgeous as well. So I slid in her DMs, long story short, and through her sister's help, actually, because she was the spy inside the house that was kind of like, you know, poking at her like, hey, go on a date.
So she ended up sending me a whole his portfolio, his picture, like a little bit of background about him, and she's like, he's a really good guy. Just go on a date. Just go and see what happens. Because I've been single pretty much all my life, never had like a relationship or anything. And at first I said no, because he looked like a player. So I'm like, he's gonna break hearts, and I'm not for that. And I just want to settle down with someone like a good guy. And then he continued to DM me after knowing I said no.
And then eventually, you know, she said, yes, okay, I'll meet you. But her biggest thing was, you know, she wanted to know how tall I was. And I think that was my plus point. So
I continued with the conversation because he was very respectful.
Yeah.
That's a very important thing. He wasn't using like things like slangs, and it was like talking to an adult. And at the same time, he wasn't treating me like a piece of meat, like I was a human being, and that was it's rare. That's a rare quality to have. Yeah. So I asked him actually, I was like, okay, so how tall are you? And he wouldn't tell me. I'm not that tall, but with heels, I can be like 5'11". So then I get really tall. And that's just my one thing. I'm like, just be taller than me. And he's like, just wear the tallest heels you got. So he comes, he picks me up. And as he's getting out the car, he's getting taller and taller and taller. And I'm like, how tall is this guy? And he ends up being 6'7".
6'7".
I was just like, you're the tallest human being I have ever seen sold. That was it.
Yeah, so that was it. That was the cherry on top of everything. So
yeah, so our first date, we were kind of like testing each other. He took me to a shisha lounge. I'm not sure if you know. So it's like hookah. So he wanted to see if
like a water pipe, you smoke it, flavored.
Yeah,
so we did that.
We did that, and then he tested me after. He's like, "You want to go for drinks?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" You got did you get a girlish drink?
Yeah, I got a beer. I'm a beer drinker. I don't really like strong liquor, but she just ran right away for the hard stuff.
No, like, okay. I just had whiskey. That's it. I just had whiskey on the rocks.
That's not hard, apparently.
I can't take that anymore. But we hit it off, and yeah, our second date, I was just crying again. I'm an emotional wreck because he tried to hold my hand and I freaked out. So I'm not used to physical touch. I don't like hugging, especially never had a boyfriend. And for me to share physical touch with someone, you have to be important. So his thing was like, it's normal. Everyone holds hand, everyone hugs. And my thing was like, I need a title. So he asked me to be his girlfriend and I said yes. Fast forward 2 months, my mom comes back from Pakistan. I tell her about him and how I've been seeing him and he's a nice guy and I want him to meet my parents. And then his parents come for my hand in marriage and meets my parents. And that's the first time I met your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really fast.
Yeah, it was fast. It was fast. So like
2 months in, 2 months in, I told my mom about him.
Yeah, I think like almost 3 to 4 months into it, we were actually married.
Yeah, so it was pretty fast.
Yeah.
Last bit, like the cool chat came out.
We should forget the apps, just go for it.
Yeah.
Talk to sister-in-laws, introduce to sisters, and find the right sister, get married.
You know, the biggest thing honestly is like guys have asked me multiple times, even on TikTok and Instagram and our social media channels, like, how did you get a beautiful girl? And I tell everybody, just be respectful when you talk to them.
Just have respect.
You don't need to send pictures of your private parts. You don't need to, label them with, different marks and like, don't give rude remarks. And that's what females look for.
And it's crazy that I met him when I was 25 and all the men I have come in contact with, their language was so foul and the words they would use to describe me, it was just very disrespectful. And he was the only guy that didn't do that. And that's saying something.
Is it? Whoa, that's amazing. Is it that is the generation we're in that everybody's trying to show off and they don't show their true self? So you have to always play it up to impress people. But what you're saying is if somebody does that, they're being hurtful, not helpful. Right?
No, 100%. It is a generational thing where everyone wants to show off that they're, this big, bad person.
It's very much so about vanity.
It is.
Materialism, like materialistic items. Even I was attached to all of my materialistic things. So packing my bags into like 3 little bags, it was a shock to me. And now it's just, I look back at it and I'm like, I had all of those clothes, shoes, materialistic things. And now it doesn't matter. In
our house, we had a separate bedroom that was literally her closet. Yeah. Like a whole bedroom itself was just nothing but her shoes.
I still love fashion, but as we travel to, for instance, when I was in Egypt, I was dressing, to like how they dress, head wraps and very modest. And here there's love patterns and everyone's dressed to the nines here. That was one thing that I noticed that, what was the first location we came in?
Nairobi, yeah.
Nairobi. Everyone had button downs. They were in business attire, and
that's the one thing we love about Kenya. It's because from coming from America or coming from Canada, when you see Black males or females over there,
especially our age.
Yeah, especially our age, they all have these. If you're a size medium or a size large, they're gonna wear a 5XL shirt, which is like going all the way down to their knees, and their pants are sagging down. And they're showing their trousers and stuff, and you're just like,
and the way they speak as well.
And the way they speak is very
different.
It's very different. A lot of slang.
Everyone is speaking professionally. Everyone's dressed up so well, so nice. In grocery stores, wherever you go, everyone is very presentable and very like. I felt the safest in Kenya than anywhere else, and that's.
In Kenya, we can actually go outside on the streets alone and no one's going to come up to us and bother us. And you couldn't do that.
In Egypt, for instance.
You couldn't even do that in New York. Like, if you even were in New York in a bad neighborhood, you couldn't just walk outside alone without someone coming up to you and bothering you or trying to start a fight. We never experienced that in Kenya whatsoever. We don't speak Swahili at all whatsoever. We just know, Jumbo. That's the only word we learned when we came here. but it's just the way that people dress here and the way they speak to you. Well, it's refreshing.
Yeah. Bringing back to when, for instance, when I got my hair braided, I was really afraid of what the media would say, what people back home would say, because everything's about culture appropriation, this and that. But I am in someone's culture and I'm actually appreciating it and I'm bringing light to it and I'm not taking credit for it. And I'm just saying, like, this is their culture and I appreciate it. And I want to eat the food. I want to learn the language. I want to do all of those things. And I spoke to the girl who actually took me out to do my hair. And she was just like, that's some first world problems you got there. And she's like, here we're thinking about food. Are we gonna be fed today? We're thinking about surviving. We're thinking about like things that matter. And in Canada, you're actually thinking about what people will say about your hair. It's just braids. And that was just like, wow, refreshing. And it's funny, actually today I got handful of comments saying I'm gonna get reported because I am I'm appropriating the culture and they will report me. And I'm just like, how am I doing that? So it's probably like a developing country versus Western countries. Their mentalities are quite different in that way as well.
But I also think the cancel culture is really, really like a big thing all over. And also just to emphasize your point, you are American, you're Canadian, but you're also Pakistani.
Yes.
You're Western, but you're also Muslim. So if you appropriate, what exactly are you appropriating? Because you're all mixed. You're not one thing. You're not only American, only Canadian. You're all a mixture of all this. You're halal and not halal at the same time. So it's rather.
Halal.
Yeah. Halal and haram.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
In today's generation, it's very rare to find if someone says I'm 100% white or I'm 100% this culture. It's very rare to find that. Any country you go to nowadays, especially if you look at anyone from the United States or Canada or any Western country, there's going to be so many different cultures combining in together, and these new generational kids, the youth, are being born, and they're just a mixture of a whole bunch of stuff. Just take me for example, like I'm 31 years old, and 31 years ago a Pakistani guy immigrated from Pakistan and married a white female from America, and I was born half. And now 30 years later I see this every single place. You have, black males and black females marrying into whites. You got, Pakistanis, Indians marrying to different cultures. It's becoming so common now.
Yeah, and I personally don't see anything wrong with delving into someone else's culture to appreciate it. For instance, like appreciating their food, their language, the way they dress, the way they do their hair. As long as you do it respectfully, I really don't see a problem with it. But if you take it, and then you say, for instance, like the Kardashians, they would braid their hair, and then instead of calling it like cornrows, they will call it, oh, this is box braids. And that is where the line is being crossed. So there's like a right or a wrong way of doing things.
Yeah, but the opposite is also true, because we live in a world where there is this, which is beautiful, and then there's the opposite where it's the people who've known each other, the people who think the same, look the same, kind of form their own. Like in the last 5, 6, 7 years, that has been a big issue. So did that affect you guys? I know it's touch and go, but yeah.
I mean, it affected me more so being a female, a brown female in my own family. Yeah. Because of like the way I dress and the way I present myself, and I want to see the world, and I'm a free spirit, and he in a way allows me to be me, and because he makes me happy and gives me the freedom of being me, my father, my older siblings were not in talking terms because of the cultural and the generational gap. They just can't comprehend that a female could have opinions. A female could show shoulders, and it doesn't mean that if she shows her legs, that doesn't mean that she's gonna open them. They can't see the difference between that.
And we're talking about people who have lived in Canada for the past 30 plus years.
Yeah.
and their mentality still hasn't changed yet.
And it's in my own family that I have experienced it. And recently I just like got rid of all the bad energy, and now I'm just like focusing on traveling, career, and just like keeping each other happy.
Yeah, but that's easy to understand because just because somebody is left their home, their culture goes with them, and especially now it becomes a bit more rooted, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, because for example, here tribalism is really a big deal. And I never knew what that was until I got to campus and people ask you, what tribe are you? And you're mixed and you're thinking, what the hell is that? And they can't understand why you don't get it. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, does it?
It really doesn't.
It really doesn't, yeah.
Yeah.
For everyone to grasp that concept,
yeah,
it's going to take decades.
Yeah, if not more.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think it has to, because the people who get it should get it. The people who don't, just get off their lane, in a way. Yeah, but let me take you back to the love story. 31 and 25.
I was 25 when I met him. I'm 27 now.
So 25 and 31 when you met. I've dated Muslim girls. How did you stay single for so long, and how did you stay single for so long? Given that
I wasn't single.
He wasn't single. He had girls left and right. I was just, for me, it's not that I chose to be single, but I just didn't meet the person to share my energy with, like to share touch, like even to touch someone, it's important to me. And I just didn't see someone as the same, like who had the same mentality, especially being brown, because it wasn't like I can go out. Even though I'm in Canada, I couldn't go out and date a white guy. I couldn't go out date an Asian guy. I couldn't go out and date a black guy, because then it would be problematic for my family. And for me to fall in love and then do that to my family, I just couldn't see that happening. So he was a perfect medium for me, because he was half white, meaning he was Western enough, but at the same time, he was religious enough to kind of like, get my parents
on board
with it. Yeah. And yeah, basically. And I had like a whole list. I had really high standards, and I feel like it wasn't that I had high standards. It was just, funny, a person who's respectful, a person who's loyal, tall, like that. I needed to have that. And that was about it. And being in Canada, and especially the location I was at, I didn't really click with anyone before how I clicked with him. And yeah, that was, I don't even know how I stayed single for that long, but I just didn't click with anyone else.
For me, it was just honestly, my military career kind of was like my go-to. I mean, I had been in serious relationships before that pretty much didn't end really anywhere. Everyone was young, dumb, stupid. So mistakes were made on both parties. And, being in the military, you're always out doing your work, and you're always like in different countries. And making a person understand, if you want to settle down with that person, of like what your mentality is at that point in time. Because, prior to military, I was a totally different person. Then when I joined, everything changed about me. People told me, even in my family, they're like, you're not the same person as you were before. You used to be a lot happier. You used to be a lot more giggly, and now you're a lot more serious. So a lot of stuff changed about me. And, that also affected relationships and stuff like that. So it was kind of on and off. And me just being me, I kind of just like went from one person to another till I found the right one.
Would you say she brought it back? She brought that joy and happiness and life back to you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I don't even know how I got so lucky with her, honestly. I really don't. Every single person that sees her and they see me and they're like, what? Like, how is that possible? I'm like, it's the hype, man. Really
so the question now would be, what do you do every day to make her happy?
What do I do every day to make her
every
happy?
Day? I'm putting you on the spot right now because it's raining crazy here. So let's hear the nice story.
Well, what do I do every day to make her happy? Let's see. I'm a good cook. So I do try to cook as much. We both actually try to cook together. So even today, we didn't like make any fancy meals or anything like that. And I'll take today, for example, we woke up and we decided we were just going to eat some hot dogs. And we both actually, cooked it together. She made the buns. I made the hot dogs. She cut up the tomatoes. I cut up the chilies because she wanted to like do her makeup. So we kind of like help each other out and find that happy medium on like what we're going to do. And even if she's working like on her project, I'm in a school right now full time as well while we're traveling. So she helps me with my homework sometimes. I help her with her projects. Like it's kind of like we balance each other out on a regular basis.
I feel like for me, if I had to choose one thing that, this is why I'm with him, this is why he keeps me happy, it's because he gives me freedom. Freedom of choice, it's as simple as freedom of wearing shorts on a hot day because it's a hot day. And I never had that before because, even at home, I had to cover up everything. I'm very much into fashion. I couldn't express myself, and that takes a toll on you. And when I met him, I could be 100% myself, and it wasn't an issue.
Yeah, for me, like it was new for me to even hear her say that a lot of times in our first, I would say, month of our relationship living together. It got really hot one day and she wore these tight shorts and she kind of just like wanted to go outside in our backyard for a quick, walk. And she came back and she had a biggest smile on her face. I'm like, well, what's going on? And she said, I just left my own house wearing shorts without anyone saying anything to me. I'm like, yeah, you can. What's wrong with that? And I mean, for me, that's completely normal. Like, dress however you want to dress, that's your body. And for her, it was just a complete shock that, I can do that.
Yeah. And also when I met him, I was working retail. I recently graduated from school and I was very comfortable with the bubble I have created, with the people I had around and friends and family and all that. And he kept on pushing me to get uncomfortable, to quit my retail work and get a career. It's time. And at times I would be so angry with him. But when I did that and I got uncomfortable and I got, like a big girl job, a career job, I would look at him and I would be like, wow, like, thank you for pushing me. So that's another thing about him, that he pushes me to be a better person. Whether it's about career, whether it's just about being a good human. And that's a great quality to have.
So for you, what was holding you back? Is it that it wasn't in the peripheral view, or it was just not a thing?
It was as sad as it sounds. What was holding me back was family. So, their cultural views and how they, I wasn't born in Pakistan. I wasn't raised in Pakistan. My parents, both parents are are Pakistani by blood. So am I. They were born there, but they moved to Dubai, and then we lived around the world. So I was expected to be a Pakistani girl, but I wasn't born there. I wasn't raised there. I didn't get any education. I never had Pakistani friends to kind of relate. I knew of the culture, but I had a lot of questions, and they were met with a lot of like, if I would ask a question, that was wrong of me. Curiosity was not a good thing. So, why is it that I have to cover up in front of my brother? And that was, I couldn't understand that. He's my brother, right? But culturally, it was like, well, you have to be a good girl. And there was a lot of clashes that was happening. And for me, it was easier for me to just stay quiet and just do as I was being told, because I knew my day will come. And the moment I get independent and the moment I find, I get married, I can be myself. And that is why I held on to, relationships and that, because I wanted to show like this is it. Like, this is a solid thing, because when I'm in a relationship, I'm going to be in it for life. And that's how I view the world.
This is kind of also like the sad, true reality of most Pakistani females that you would probably come across, that that are from these types of cultural backgrounds.
They brought into Canada.
But they're still expected to, the thing is that the religion is a very, very beautiful religion.
Yes.
There's nothing against the religion, but it's the cultural mentality of men specifically that they bring in the religion on top of it, but it has nothing to do with religion. They bring religion and they throw it on top of it, and they expect only females to do right, but men can do no wrong.
And also, if you look at the bigger picture, you look at, I never had a relationship. I was 25. I was very much not into no drugs, no nothing. I just loved to dress up. And because of that, only because of that, there was a lot of that, like, she's a, I don't know if I should say it, but she's a whore, or she's that kind of a girl.
Yeah.
But I haven't done anything with a male. I haven't had a relationship. I haven't done anything to be that, but you would be labeled that just because of how people view you, and not because you're showing your shoulders or you're showing a little bit of legs, and yeah, that could get problematic.
And then the sad part is, you have to deal. I mean, she had to deal with that in her family,
even after we were married,
with her own brother and her own father. Even after we're married, even to this day, actually. Because, if you go on our Instagram page, or if you go on her TikTok, she has videos on there, and everyone's like, how dare he allow her to put on a bikini and take those pictures? And like, no one realizes that the person behind the camera is me. Like, I'm the one who's taking all the pictures. And then, and then recently the new thing that came out from the family was like, her father was like, oh, he's prostituting her. He's making her do those things. Oh my God, like, this is blowing my mind. But it's a
generational thing where they just cannot understand that a girl, just because, she's showing skin, or, she can be respectful as well, the way she speaks, the way she carries herself. They just can't understand that. Sometimes you just have to agree to disagree. And that's all you can say about the person. Because if I'm not going to change, I can't expect someone else to change their views. I would want to change for the better, but I can't expect that out of everyone, even my own family. But I'm grateful that I have a supportive mother. I have an amazing middle sister who gets it. They're still kind of trying to understand it, but they still respect it. So there's a good and bad in everything.
True. So I think to add to what you just said, I will listen to a podcast by Sharon Mashihi, a comedian, an amazing podcast. It's called Appearances, dealing with the same stuff. And not to divulge too much, but also I've gone through some of that stuff. I'm Kenyan Christian. I dated a Muslim girl who was Asian too. Dramatic. Became problematic totally.
Asian as in like from Pakistan, India?
From India. Yeah, from India. So India, Pakistan, Iraq, some of the family is in Iran, so that kind of thing. Really dramatic, a lot of issues. It ended up very badly, but yeah. So I understand what you guys are going through. But then also...
Drama is the middle name of Pakistan. Like, you might as well just put that there. Like, if there's no drama in a family... If you're Pakistani or Indian, like
lying.
Then you're lying to yourself and to everyone else. Like, you're not a true Pakistani or Indian person if there's no drama in your family.
True. But then the question is for some reason, somehow, by nature, by God, by whatever it is, you two found each other. Everybody would assume you could have stayed in Canada and be a nice family, whatever it is. And then after that, you went to, let's go to the world. Where do you get that courage from? Where does that come from?
I've always, honestly, for some reason, for me, it's just been like, I've always been an outside doorsy person where even in the military, before I was leaving, because I was injured in combat, I was given the choice to either switch my job to become, to be a paper pusher, get a desk job, or I could leave the military. And I chose to leave it instead of just getting a desk job and continuing my career in the military as, I was progressing with my ranking systems and stuff. But for me, it was just, I just always wanted to be outside. I always wanted to experience new things and new cultures. Um, before we ended up actually on our journey, it was one of our far family friends that during COVID actually, the laws kind of like died down just a little bit in Canada, where they were allowing people to go out. It was early stages, yeah, where they were letting people, to get together in amount of like 10 people at a time and stuff like that. So she had a family friend who had a cottage by the lake somewhere in Canada, and she invited us and my family and her family to go to the cottage for like the weekend getaway. And she said, let's just all get together. We'll have a nice barbecue and it'll be by the lake, and you guys are all covered. Just come and have a good time. So we went there, and on the way back, while we were driving from the cottage to our house, we left pretty early, like around 9 to 10 a.m. in the morning, leaving the cottage, and it was around a 4 to 5 hour drive, which ended up turning into almost a 10-hour drive. The reason behind that was we ended up stopping literally like 10 different places, and just like we just wanted to explore and explore and explore. So when we came back home, we just got on the computer and we wanted to like, find different places in the world to like, oh, look at these YouTubers, like how cool these guys are like traveling and like finding new places. What were you gonna say?
When we came back, we didn't talk to each other about traveling.
No, not at all.
So it was a big pivot for me that he was stopping at every stop, and I was seeing something different in every stop. And being a girl who's just like, closed up, I saw like roads that just go into the water, and that blew my mind. And I was just like, there's actually places like this, and this is in Canada. So that whole trip, I was just in awe of everything. And when we came back home, it was like an uneasy feeling. So on our own, we were looking at other destinations. And like a day after, that's when we were like,
because for us, we were kind of like, we were looking for, okay, we went to this little, weekend cottage. Maybe, like in a month we can go to another cottage, or we can do like another weekend vacation somewhere. So we started looking at like different locations to go to. And because it being COVID, like where can we go? And we ended up like diving into YouTube, because YouTube is, the mother of everything and teaches you all kinds of different things. And that's when we ended up coming across all these travel YouTubers. And she was searching on her own, I was searching on my own, and we both were like, hey, come look at this, come look at this, come look at where this person's going. And she loves, Thai food and anything to do with like Thai culture. So when we I think it was almost the whole night we kind of stayed up. Or I stayed up just looking at like videos.
I kept on passing out, coming back, passing out.
So we were just watching like different travelers like in Thailand, like their food, their culture, what they're doing. And we just kept on watching. And the next day, all day long, we were doing the exact same thing again. And that's when we spoke to each other and we were like, maybe we should like, just pack our stuff out somewhere.
And also I feel like one of the major reasons was I studied in media. So I'm just a very creative person, and I felt that I wasn't utilizing what I have in the career I was in. I was making, logos and like PR packages and things like that for other companies, and I was just not happy. So when I was like, okay, we can travel and we can make content, and that was my dream job. My dream job was to just travel the world or go anywhere and create content for myself. And truly what I want, with the full freedom of everything, like take pictures, take recordings, edit. Just, I love doing all of that. So it was like a perfect unity of, what we want to do and career. And I think that was what made you also very confident, because you were just like, okay, you can edit.
Yeah, so videos. She was good with the editing part, and I was just like, okay, confident that, okay, she can edit videos.
And he takes like really good like videos. So it was like a good,
a good combination for both of us. Pretty much, she told me, she was like, let's sleep on it for a couple of days or the week, and we'll come back to this dialogue and see like, what we're thinking. I can't take that long. I'm a very like, you got to do it now. So I have no patience whatsoever. So when she went to bed, without telling her, I just booked both of us a one-way ticket, non-refundable. And the next morning she woke up and I'm like, I messed up. Like I was just in the moment and I did it. And
I was happy. I was just like, and it's funny because we recently got a house. We recently got new,
furniture.
We didn't even started furnishing the house. And here you are, bought a one-way ticket to Thailand. And now we were like, I wasn't disappointed. I was just like, yes, thank you for the extra push. Because I'm a very I like to think things through and I overthink about everything. And I need to know all the planning. He just goes head first. I put my toe in and I'm like, is the water hot a little, cold a little? He's just like, no.
Just dive in.
So had you not booked, this would have never happened. Because you would have gone back to overthinking. And one of the most asked questions normally is the conversation of how do we make an income on the road?
So,
we're going to take a tiny little break. Just enough time for me to tell you that Giuliani has a new book. It's called Masterpiece. Yes, your favorite artist, Giuliani, has a new book. And you can find it on his page, Giuliani Kenya. It's an amazing book. I had a chance to sit down with him and talk to him about the book for a very brief Kenyan stories, and a lot of notable Kenyans coming your way on Kenyan Stories by Daniel Duwa. In the meantime, let's go back.
So mostly it's my military. A lot of it has to do with my military funding. And we are starting to make some money with our PRs, and we do get a lot of. We started to recently get sponsorships with hotels and different places that we go to.
So our end goal is to get paid to just travel, and that is our main goal. But right now, just to keep us afloat and live comfortably, like he has his.
It's pretty much like my disability retirement that is keeping us afloat.
Yeah.
And I mean, we didn't start off with everyone that we speak to, or all the comments we always get is, like, you guys must be rich.
You're rich, you're royalty, and I'm just like, no, we're actually living on a budget. Like
we're living on.
We don't have that much.
We don't have
So great segue. Budget. What does a budget look like for a couple? Again, you guys are literally on your honeymoon still. I mean. So what does a budget looks for two lovebirds just met, just got married, traveling in a world that's closed to pandemic, all this stuff? How does that look like?
We actually have a video on YouTube about budgeting, and it's just what can a couple get in a day in Antalya? In Antalya. Yeah. So we just went out and we ate food, and the total came up to $50, was it?
Yeah, for one day.
$50, and that includes Airbnb, everything. Food we ate, shopping we did, wherever we went. So budgeting.
Our main thing is, like we're balling on a budget. So it's like for a monthly, if you want to look at it, it's like we try to stay under 2,000.
For both
of us.
Yeah.
And that includes, like good living, good eating, traveling, plane tickets, experiences. I mean, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, great stuff. So you got from Turkey. How did you get to Kenya? You got from Turkey to Thailand. How did you get to Kenya?
So our first destination was Turkey, and then from Turkey we ended up in Egypt.
Sorry, I'm losing you. I've lost you on Turkey. I lost you on Turkey. Sorry.
Okay, so our first destination was Turkey.
In Turkey, we went to Istanbul.
Yeah, Istanbul. Then
Cappadocia, Antalya, and then from Antalya we went to.
We went to Sharm el Sheikh, Egypt. One of my good childhood friends who was also in the military with me. He's working in Egypt right now, so he invited us to come to his place. In Sharm el Sheikh is like a very nice touristy resort area. Looks like mini Greece.
Mm-hmm.
And he invited us to come stay with him over there for a couple of weeks. So we just, on a whim again, he called me. He was like, hey man, I have 1 week off. you need to come here. So I booked a plane ticket the same day, and we flew literally like the next morning. We flew to Egypt.
You're making a habit of this booking one day done.
Yeah. So
Are you scared that maybe she might change her mind?
He booked the ticket and he didn't really tell me. And I'm here. I'm like, I wanted to edit this video. I wanted to, because my head goes overboard. I think about a lot of other things that I need to do. And then he's like, just relax. We're going to a resort. You're gonna relax there. So once I was there, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful place.
We ended up in Egypt, in Sharm el Sheikh. From there, we went to we took a bus actually from Sharm el Sheikh all the way to Cairo, because again, we're living on a budget, so we can't afford to fly every single city or every single place on an airplane. So we took like a $10 bus ticket each, which was actually very comfortable.
Yeah.
With AC and everything, from Sharm el Sheikh to Cairo, around a 10-hour bus ride. I stayed in Cairo for almost about a month to month and a half. It was just beautiful. And then from Cairo, we ended up in Nairobi.
Yeah.
Did our stuff in Nairobi. We went down to Amboseli, stayed a couple of nights with the Maasai people over there.
It was an amazing experience.
It was
humbling.
Mind-blowing.
No electricity, no running water. It was just amazing.
Why is that amazing? Because personally, I've never experienced that, right? So why would that be amazing to you? I don't understand.
It's amazing during the day because there's just so much rich culture, the way they cook, the way they look. There's so many things, the way they make fire, they do beading. There's so much of like a visual overload that you just can't stop. And by night, that is when, you're kind of left on your own. And that is when reality hits in. And then, I'm thinking about the bugs, and it's really humid and it's really dark and I can't sleep. So at night, it was hard, especially because we heard lions right outside the hut. And that's really scared me. But during the day, it was amazing. But at night, it was really hard for me.
Like for us to even find a location where we can actually go to a remote actual Maasai village, not one of those villages where you find right outside of Nairobi where they have it for tourist people. They go spend like a couple of hours and come right back. We ended up, figuring out this location like deep inside the border of Tanzania, where while we were at that location, we literally kept on hopping into Tanzania and back to Kenya and back and forth without any border protection. We were just like with two Maasai warriors.
And the mountain, what was the mountain?
Right in front of like Mount Kilimanjaro.
It was right in front of us.
So we were in the national park, and just seeing these guys, I spoke to a lot of these people that would take you out on safaris because we wanted to go see wild animals and stuff. And every single person told us, when you're in the Jeep, you can't get out of the Jeep. You have to stay inside. You have to stay in the safari Jeep. And these Maasai warriors are just so brave that everywhere we go, they stop their vehicle like in the middle of nowhere, and they're like, all right, let's get out.
Let's go see zebras.
Let's go see a zebra. Let's go see a giraffe. Oh, look, there's an elephant. Let's get out of the car. And we're just like, what about lions? They're like, don't worry, we have our spears.
It was a crazy experience.
Wow. Like, okay.
Before he took me to the Maasai village, I had never seen animals. I never went to a zoo. I just
wait. You've never seen wild animals?
I never seen a live animal before. Like I seen like dogs and cats, but I never been to a zoo. I didn't like the idea of animals being in cages. So my thing was like, I'm gonna see animals when they're in their natural habitat. And in Kenya, I got to see ostriches. I saw zebras for the first time.
So like for us, like especially for me, like I've been to zoos before in America and Canada, but I've never seen an elephant with a full-blown tusk like ever in my life.
It was the most.
We saw this alone bull just like walking, and it in a way we were laughing so hard because every single time she would pull out the camera to take a picture, the elephant kind of, I guess in a way knew that we were about to take a picture, so he would just pose for us. He literally was far away, and he would just like put his nose up and like kind of look at us and pose for us. And it's like, that's just a majestical creature, like just unbelievable. We saw so many different animals.
We saw that recently. He was swimming with the dolphins in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, like in Mombasa, like just a couple of days ago, we came from this other resort and we went out and this guy was like, yeah, we're gonna go see if we can find some dolphins. And I'm a pretty good swimmer. And I got my GoPro and I just jumped right off the boat and I started swimming with the dolphins. It was a magical experience. I had never seen a dolphin in my life before. And to actually get to swim with them was just another thing.
Yeah. I don't know how to swim, so I couldn't do half the things. So everything I'm doing everything for the first time. I'm seeing animals for the first time. I went on like a 4-wheeler.
Yeah,
for the first time. I saw a camel for the first time. He put me on a horse for the first time, and I'm like, there's so many firsts for me. It's amazing though.
So I'm kind of the mind behind of like the locations we're gonna go to and like all the places, all these remote places that we get to. And I have to figure out and deal with, her kind of chopping me and punching me in the back. She's like, why are you putting me through this?
I give him the freedom of choosing, and wherever we go, first of all, I trust him and he's going to keep me safe. And I want to experience things because I know I wouldn't do that on my own. Like I wouldn't go out of my way and be like, I want to live in a village without water, washrooms, or electricity. I wouldn't do that.
It's for example, if you want to, what was it? Like maybe 2 months ago, when we were in Egypt, we went to this little mountain climb where Mount Sinai is.
Little?
It was a 9-hour mountain climb.
9 hours. He made me climb a mountain for 9 hours. And
He's a soldier. So
my kidneys were just shrunken.
So for her, like there were these bathrooms, but they weren't really that clean. To her standards and everything, and there was just like a hole in the ground.
I have OCD,
and so she held her pee for like almost the whole day, and the next day her kidneys started hurting, and she just was really sick for a couple of days.
I couldn't stand up straight.
She couldn't stand up straight, none of that stuff. And then to see her 2 months later, in the middle of safari, we're walking with the Maasai guy and one of the warriors, and we're with the animals, and he's herding his cows over there, and he's showing us how he does all this stuff. And she comes out of nowhere and she's like, I have to pee. And we're just like, look around you, it's toilets everywhere. And she's like, and out of nowhere she goes, okay. She just goes behind a bush and squats down and does her business. And I was just like standing there. I'm like, 2 months ago, you couldn't go inside an enclosed area where no one could see you or nothing at all. And there's actually a hole in the ground.
You know what it was?
And you couldn't do it.
It was in that place where we were, it was cold. I'm a really thin person. So I'm always cold. Even right now, I'm cold. And where the Mount Sinai part, it was extremely cold for me. I had a jacket. I stole his scarf. I had my scarf on top of that. And just the cold just makes me angry.
Wait, but you grew up in Canada, which is colder.
I don't know why I did that to myself.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not going back. It was every time it snowed. I love Canada. I love the people, but I hated the snow.
She hates the cold.
I can't stand the cold because genuinely, like, it makes my spine, it hurts when it's cold. So even when we went he took me to a remote desert, and at night it got so cold. And when I'm cold, all my anger just goes to him. And I'm like, why are you making me do this? And I'm sorry.
I
just apologize for days on end. I'm like, I'm sorry. Okay, forgive me.
We've become more Canadian than her. And another thing is, I mean, spoiler alert. I think I did that trip when I was 16. I just took a backpack and just went into the valley and just found a Maasai village and stayed there for a week. And I've been to all those parks and been given private tours. And it's really awesome. I don't know if that excites me anymore, but again, I grew up with a park in the city. Nairobi is the only city with a park next to it, so that was a thing. I don't know. So you're still excited about everything. What are you excited about? You've traveled the world. You've been a soldier. What excites you? Because Ashi gets excited about everything. Everything is new. What's new to you?
I mean, for me, like just new culture. Like I've never been to Kenya before in my life. I've never even been to Africa before in my life. Just seeing new culture. Like the only culture that I experienced with the military was Middle Eastern culture, or pretty much the countries that America's at war with, which was Afghanistan, Iraq, places like those. So me coming to Africa, or even us like going to Southeast Asia, and we're planning in the future going back home, which we haven't been in like over 20 plus years. We want to visit Pakistan again, and we know it's going to be a culture shock for us again, because even though we're from there, we really are not. We haven't been to that country for so many years. So just kind of experiencing new cultures all over again, and new food, new people, making new friends. Every single country we've been to, we can honestly say that if we go back to that location, we're going to pull out our phone and we're going to be like, hey, buddy, we're back. And it's going to be, a get together. We're going to have a nice feast again. So every single place we've been to, we haven't left, without great memories and something that we're going to hold on for the rest of our lives.
I can't wait for him to go and visit like all the Southeast Asian countries, because then it's gonna be a flip. Because I know a lot about, like, I grew up in Thailand. I don't really remember, but I know the culture, I know the food, I know the people. He doesn't. So
I've never experienced any of that.
Then food wise, culture wise, then it's gonna be like, okay, I can kind of take over a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So one thing that I'd like to know is, what were your impressions of Kenya before you came, and what are your impressions now?
You can go first.
To be honest, my biggest impression, just watching from media and everything, was malaria. We're gonna get bit up and we're gonna get sick. We're gonna get and we really didn't think that it was gonna be this developed. Just knowing that, it's Africa, that means there's nothing there. So even in our mentality, from what media tells you on a regular basis, Africa, no water. Africa, black people everywhere. Africa, they have nothing over there. Africa is just wild animals over there, every single place you go to. So that was kind of like a culture shock to me. Coming to Nairobi, and as soon as we landed and I looked around and I'm like, oh, wow, roads are actually paved here? I had no idea. Like, I never knew that. And, even though we did a little bit of research and people were like, okay, Nairobi is, one of the biggest cities in Kenya, and it's like so developed and everything. But going to different locations in Kenya and meeting so many different people, it was just a culture shock to us that, okay, like this is just like any other country. Like, it's all media, that news and media just puts all these negative thoughts in people's minds, and which is not true anywhere. And that's the biggest thing that I've experienced personally in each country that we go to.
For me, Kenya, I feel like before coming in, we looked at a lot of like vlogs and a lot of videos about the different cities, and I assumed everyone would be dressed really casual, really like with like t-shirts, and the clothing, for one, it was a shock. I was like, everyone is dressed to the nines, everyone's so presentable, everyone knows how to speak so well. That was one of the things I was shocked by. And also the food, it has there's so much variety. I'm so happy that there's Indian food here, there's a Middle Eastern food here, and there's like the African food here. In the media, it also in a way said that it's dangerous, because all of the vlogs we were watching, they would say like in Nairobi, don't go to like this market because people would steal your camera, or they'll attack you, you will definitely be attacked. And we actually went to a really remote like shopping area.
It's like in that center of Nairobi.
I got this dress from there.
Yeah, she got the dress from there. They were hand making leather, and our host actually told us to go to that market, and they have like really cheap, good stuff.
So before going, coming into Kenya, I really thought it was, as a girl especially, like it's gonna be dangerous. There's gonna be people. It might be dangerous for me. I have to walk with my eyes open. And now that I'm here, I feel the most safest, which is crazy. So that's like a whole 360 of perspective. And also when we went to the resort, I had no idea that in Africa they had like beautiful beaches. It was greenery. We were just like, are we in Bora Bora? Like, where are we? It was definitely
I had no
eye-opening.
clue. Like when we went to that resort and going into Mombasa, like all these beach resorts around here and just looking at different waterfronts. It just blew our mind.
We were coming back from our trip, like from the Indian Ocean, and you know, swam with the dolphins. The whole time, every 2 minutes, he would be like, I can't believe this is Africa. I can't believe this is Kenya. Like, I just can't believe it. Look around you. Look at that mountain. And then 2 minutes after, he'd be like, look at that wave. Look at that tree. You know, just like, yeah, it's crazy. I also noticed when I'm recently posting a lot of like Messiah Village videos on my TikTok, and I'm getting a lot of like American Western comments saying, oh, so this is what Kenya is. They live like savages, or they live like this. And I'm like, no, this is one part of Kenya. This is their culture, but there's also other things that we will be posting. Like when we went to the beach, we went to the resort, there's a city. So people don't really know that.
A lot of people don't realize that Kenya is that way. Like, for example, my sister wanted to travel with us and she wanted to come to Thailand with us.
Yeah.
And when the Thailand trip kind of like got canceled for us, and even when we were in Egypt, we wanted to still go to Thailand. And then we decided last minute that, you know, let's just go to Kenya instead. And I spoke to her on the phone and I'm like, hey, we're deciding to go to Kenya instead. Why don't you come with us to Kenya? And in words, she kind of was like, Kenya, Africa, I'm not really sure. And now she's like, I wish I came with you guys. I'm like, I told you, like, it's not as bad as, you know, like once you get to a location, it's a totally different experience.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing. Like we're learning new things every single day, every single location we go to. I thought I knew a lot before, like we started our travels, but now every single day is just an eye opener for us. And we feel very humbled.
Yeah.
To be able to have this lifestyle and actually experience like different cultures and experiences and food and just meet new people and see that, you know, the world is not what the media just tells you on a regular basis.
Media is so wrong about everything. It's crazy to me.
It's just now it's a true fact in my mind. I'm like, it's just politics.
Everything is politics. Even when he would tell me in Canada, because I was very sheltered. I still am in a way very sheltered.
Yep.
But now seeing it for myself, I'm just like, media is playing some games. Like going to Egypt, how the media portrays them. They're the most hospitable, welcoming people I have ever met. They treated us more of a family than our own family.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, our host took us to his own personal house and his wife cooked for us and everything. And every single person I spoke to over the phone, they're like, oh, how safe is it? Are they all terrorists over there? Are they going to blow themselves up? And I'm like, no, man, that's not true. Yeah. Like, just come here and experience it for yourself. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's strange. I was talking to one of my better friends. We've known each other for the last 20 years. She's American. And she was telling me the problems they're having now in America. Like, for example, the power outages and snow and those kind of situations. Those are the stuff we had 20 years ago in Kenya. Yeah. And we went solar and this renewable energy and stuff like that. And it was really a weird contrast, you know. Freedom of speech, which we were fighting for 20 years ago. Now it's an issue over there. You can't have an opinion, but everybody can talk. You know, that's a weird thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, but moving along, the one thing I would like to know, what are the challenges you've had so far as a couple, and especially a traveling couple, a new couple, a traveling couple? So the major challenge you've had as a couple so far, what are those?
I think one of the challenges we have is we're different in a way where I'm very reserved and he's very outdoorsy and I'm not. Like he'll make a fire. He'll love all of like thrilling, dangerous things, and I'm not dangerous at all. I like rules. I like to just, sit, relax. So that's kind of challenging, finding like things to do together and then compromising. For instance, when we went to the Messiah village, like that was me kind of like pushing myself more so than him. And like when we go to the resort, it's more of like, he did that for Valentine's Day. So that was kind of.
But even when we're at the resort, it's kind of like, it's like we kind of figure out, what's the happy medium with us.
I'll do this with you, you do this with me.
Yeah, so we started like before we would get into a lot of fights and stuff like, no, we have to do it this way, we have to do it that way. Arguments would start and we would argue about, well, we're doing this as a career, like what we need more views and we need more people to follow us and stuff like that. And my mentality has always been, like if we don't show the world or if we don't show crazy things, people are not going to be interested and stuff like that. And she was just like, no, we can't do that. I'm not comfortable. I can't go on edges, stuff like that. So now we're coming to that happy medium finally that we're starting to realize, okay.
Like I'll meet you halfway here if you meet me halfway there. And then we still like respect each other's boundaries. And there's like certain things that he'll know that I won't do.
We see each other pretty much 24/7. We're each other all the time.
All the time.
There's not one moment that we're not separated from each other. So that's a challenge on its own. But the one thing that we've actually like put a boundary on each other, that even if we get into a fight or an argument, and if we're not talking to each other, we're never going to sleep separate.
Yeah.
So no matter like how much we, argue or anything, it's still like at nighttime, even if she passes out or even if I'm passed out, we're still going to go to the same bedroom, same bed, and we're going to sleep together. Like even the apartment we're in right now, we have 2 bedrooms. And if we get into a fight or something, like there's no way in hell I can go sleep in another room or she can go sleep in another room. Like it's just not going to happen.
So no sleeping on a fight. You have to be in the same bed, even with a fight.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an amazing rule.
I think one major thing in the beginning, especially, was food for us because he loves meat. He's a meat eater, and I feel like I was really comfortable with the food. I'm really thin, and I'm in a way very picky. I don't really like meat that much. I like seafood and I like vegetables and things like that. So especially when we went to what was the first Turkey, it was hard for me to eat meat, especially the meat there because it had no seasoning. It was dry. It was just not, I was just eating to survive. If I would eat, I would feel like throwing up, and sometimes I would actually throw up. And I ended up losing a lot of like a generous amount of weight and that I didn't have to spare to begin with. Yeah. So I think that's what we were fighting most about. He just wanted me to eat.
I just wanted her to eat more and just be healthy. And she's like, I can. And I'm like, eat something.
I don't know. I think I had a bug of something, or I just couldn't eat. I just did not enjoy Turkish food how I thought I would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Egypt was a little bit better, but Kenya, I'm eating every day. I love the food here. I love the chicken. I love ugali. Like I'll eat everything here.
Even in Maasai village, like when we went there, we ended up purchasing 2 goats and donating into the village. And one of the goats is slaughtered that night. And one of the mamas, the female Maasai females over there, she cooked this amazing, delicious stew with like goat and potatoes and everything. And I think like that's the best stew I've ever had in my life. And I told her this and she's like, really? I'm like, yeah, like I loved it.
Yeah.
And it was literally like made in a remote Maasai village. And I'm like, that was the best stew I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. It was pretty amazing.
And it was just such a, simple thing. Just a simple living, simple dish. And it's just the tiny things that you find happiness in. And for both of us, like we realize that if we get into an argument, it's okay to walk away and take a breather and, go out on the balcony or just go for like a walk around the block. And instead of, pulling each other's hair, it's okay to just go out and just have a breather, calm down, recollect your thoughts and come back and then discuss, okay, what's going on.
Yeah.
Or even if you want to not do that, let's just go to separate rooms and like text each other. Because there's no. That's what we end up.
That's what we did that this morning.
We actually did that this morning. Yeah.
So we were texting each other. I was in the living room. I texted him. I'm like, "Can you come out now?" And he was like, "Okay."
Well, so such a millennial way of dating, right?
Yeah. So we text we argue on text messages. So there's not a lot of shouting involved and stuff like that. Yeah. So you just learn every single day how to survive with each other.
Yeah. And happiness. What's the beacon of happiness? I don't know if that sounds. I don't know. That sounds weird. Like, what's the beacon of happiness? But for you, that's a struggle. But what makes you the most happy together, our parts right now?
The biggest thing for me is that we are doing this together. Like, we're traveling the world together.
We're experiencing life together. We're experiencing a lot of firsts together.
Yeah. Like this is like a dream come true for a lot of people. For most people that we've spoken to, everyone's like, "Oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could travel like you guys." And for us, it's just like, we're so lucky that we were able to do this together and make these memories and just travel nonstop for a few years down the road. And whenever we decide that, okay, we're done traveling, these are the memories that we're gonna have forever, and we're recording these memories for our kids and our grandkids to see, and to be like, "Oh, they did this." It's just, that's just for us. For me, it's just like, yeah,
that's pretty amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And you said a lot of people, this is their dream. What do you think is stopping them? Maybe it took COVID to get here. Maybe it took meeting her. It took you meeting each other. What's stopping them?
Realistically, if you want to just talk about like, okay, this is the issue. It all comes down to finances. We are blessed enough that we have like a paycheck almost coming every month, that we're able to do this. It's not a lot, but it's not too little. A lot of other people, they don't have that. They have to work. They have mortgages to pay. They have cars to pay. We luckily, our house was rented, so we didn't have to worry about that. We only have one car.
Yeah.
Like back home to do the payments. We have our storage, but other than that, we don't have any other responsibilities. And especially if you have kids, a lot of our friends do have kids. That's a main factor, because they gotta go to school. They need to get educated.
The one thing I'll say is, even if someone isn't making the money, or even if someone isn't lucky enough or blessed enough to have the finances just rolling in on a monthly basis, it's all about, can you do it? Like, the thing is, you have to take that leap, because there are so many ways to make ends meet. There are so many ways to make a living in the world now, especially more than anything, that we are in this technology phase of the world where COVID kind of, slingshotted our technology, careers out there, that every single thing that everyone is doing is just online on computers. And a lot of these jobs and stuff people can do from anywhere in the world. Yeah. Most places, every single person that I've spoken to, I'm like, "Hey, you're still working?" "Yeah." "How do you work?" "Online." "Okay, so why can't you travel?" "Well, I still have..." Okay, excuses. It's all excuses, because in this generation, I feel like it's just, people need to stop making excuses. And if they really want to be happy, and their happiness is in traveling, then it is possible. It is doable. I'm a full-time student. I'm going to school full-time in New York City, pretty much, but I'm doing it online, sitting in Kenya. I stay up. My classes are usually like 3 to 4 days a week. And my classes start like from 6 p.m. all the way to like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning, Kenya time. But for American Standard Time, it's, in the morning time. But if you want to make it happen, you can actually do it, but you actually have to do it.
Yeah.
You can't just sit back and expect, people to do things for you in a gold platter and just hand it to you. You actually have to do it yourself.
Yeah, and a lot of people are not going to get uncomfortable and go to these like different types of places, because we have a happy medium of like, going to remote places and then going to resorts and being comfortable and not being uncomfortable for, a couple of days, and then living on a really tight budget for like 2-3 weeks. Like, it's balance. And I feel like a lot of people that makes them uncomfortable because they're so used to the way they live, especially if you're Western and you're American or you're Canadian. Like, for instance, my sister, she's like, I don't know how you're doing this.
Yeah, a lot of people, they just want to go on a vacation for a few weeks, experience the resort lifestyle, spend the $5,000-$10,000 they've saved up for that vacation, blow it all away, and then just go right back to their normal 9-to-5 jobs.
In a way, I don't really understand, because I like to call it like, you're having a Caucasian lifestyle in Canada, and then you're coming to Kenya, and then you're having a Caucasian version of that lifestyle here. You're not really experiencing everything if you're stuck in a resort, and you can do that in Canada. Yeah. You can go to a resort there and you can do the same exact thing. So that just doesn't click for me. And for me, I'm like, you're just wasting money. You can have a medium of, like both, but people just love comfort, and which is really understandable, because who wouldn't?
But then also there is the fact that you wake up every morning and you go to this job you hate. You meet people you don't like, you flaunt for people you don't care for or don't care for you on social media. And then you have to, and then once in a while, you just want to go and somebody takes care of you in a way,
Yeah.
So, that's a really good point.
Yeah. So I know I've kept you for a very long time, and I appreciate your time. But is there something you think I left out or we've left out that you just want to, just like push or say or whatever?
No,
I feel like you covered everything.
Yeah, you pretty much covered most of the things. It was a great chat with you.
Yeah.
Last one, I forgot. What does the future look like, and where is the future?
Let's see. For us, the future is going to be nonstop traveling for probably the next 4 years.
Maybe have a baby.
Maybe have a baby in about like 4 years. We're probably going to start a family. But before that, we're just going to keep on traveling, going to different destinations in the world.
Good stuff. I wish you well in the travels, and I wish you all the joy and happiness, and for the sparkle to never leave. I don't know. It sounds really weird. It's like stuff you say in the movies or something. But it's been great having a conversation with you again. This is really awesome, and you're an inspiration. So that's a good stuff. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
And I was feeling guilty to like keep it too long. You miss the sunset, because that's an awesome time, I guess.
Well, sunset's right in front of us.
Yeah, it's literally right in front of us. We see the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous. This has been awesome. You guys have a lovely evening. What are you guys cooking tonight for dinner?
I am cooking.
So it's a Pakistani dish. It's meat with potatoes.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a stew, and we eat it with rice. It's called aloo is potatoes, and gosht is
beef.
Aloo gosht. I think I've had that. I've had that
before. Yeah. So we're gonna have that tonight.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Good stuff. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye. Take care.
We will. Sure. Bye. Thank you for being a good sport and listening to the end. I really appreciate you. And thank you for joining me for this episode. Join me for the next one. Until the next one, my name is Daniel Duwa. Enjoy yourself. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Kenyan Stories. Remember, Kenyan Stories is a long-form podcast. We sit with some of your favorite artists, some of your favorite business people, personality, people from all over the place who are doing amazing stuff. My name is Daniel Duwa. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, join, share, like all that good stuff. Join me on the next Kenyan Stories. Until next time, goodbye.